Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to this best 10 movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming to you from right here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. It's an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, my international friends, joining me as we gather around together to talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news and all sorts of good stuff. And if you're going to talk about all sorts of good stuff, you got to bring in Mr. Good Stuff himself. It's Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, how you doing, sir?
Well, I wish all the girls that I used to date would call me Mr. Good Stuff, but that never happened.
Got to earn them nicknames, Robbie. You got to earn them nicknames. And, of course, also joining us is the wonderful Chris Carr. Chris, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm so happy to be back.
It's good to have you back. And, of course, guys, it's good to have all of you back here joining us on this wonderful Thursday. We do have a lot of stuff to talk about here today. Could we be seeing a future where Sony and Disney are doing two separate live-action Spider-Man films? We'll talk about that a little bit. How badly is Jexi going to do this weekend? We'll talk about that. Also, there's some rumblings going around that He-Man, the Masters of the Universe movie, may not actually get a theatrical release. We'll get around to that as well. We got a whole bunch of stuff to go over. But before we do, we're going to go right off the top with this. Now, one of the films coming out that we're all looking forward to, a lot of us are at any rate, is the new offering from Pixar, Onward, which comes out in 2020. Now, this is going to mark, I believe, I could be wrong about this, but I believe it's the first year that Pixar is going to be having not one but two films come out in the same year. And they're both single-word titles. They've got Onward and they got Soul. They showed us extended long previews of both of these movies at D23 for those of you who were there. And without going into any of that, they released a new trailer for Onward today, revealing a lot more about what the basic idea of the movie is and what the quest is. By the way, I love the fact that Chris Pratt's character has Dungeons & Dragons D20s all over his jacket. I think that's awesome. Anyway, the first trailer, or the next trailer got released today, revealing a whole lot more of the story and all that kind of stuff. Rob, you had a chance to just finally watch this thing. What did you make of the new trailer for Onward?
I thought it was delightful. What a crazy premise. I mean, I didn't know what the actual premise was, but now that I know, what a wacky idea. And it looks hilarious. It looks heartwarming. I love all the design work. It's just a clever... You know what? I don't know why whenever I see a new Pixar trailer, I should be surprised how clever it is or how funny it is. I don't think, with the exception of the Cars franchise that I'm not a huge fan of, but I've seen it with younger boys, my sister's son, who loves it.
Oh,
so
my nephew loves it.
I understand, but has Pixar ever let us down? Like, ever? And this just looks like another, well, let's say, over the left field fence home run.
Other than Cars, the only time I think they got close to disappointing us, I think, was The Good Dinosaur. Mm-hmm. But I liked The Good Dinosaur, but that one had a ton of production problems. But other than those ones, arguably, it's been pretty out of the park. Chris, you had a chance to just watch this trailer. What did you think of it?
I love it. I'm so pumped for this. I did not see the dad storyline coming, which I'm really excited about, especially because it's always dead moms in Disney. So way to switch it up, guys. Look at you expanding your horizons. But I'm super into this whole D20 kind of D&D quest kind of guy. I'm really excited for Chris Pratt's character. I love Tom Holland so much. This looks just adorable. It's going to be so stinking cute, and I can't wait to watch it and cry.
I remember when they showed us that scene, like at D23, that scene you see in the trailer with them in the bedroom and using the staff, they showed us like the full 11-minute thing of that. Like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, whatever minutes it was. It was a full extended thing of it. And I'll tell you what, they're in the marketing, they're making it look fun and funny and joyful. And I'm sure all that's going to be there. But there was, in that scene, there was heart and emotion. And I audibly heard people tearing up and weeping in the scene as well. So I'm very excited for this. I think the trailer looks absolutely fantastic. I cannot wait for you guys to see the full scenes that they showed us at D23. Question is, guys, did you have a chance to see the new Onward trailer? If so, what did you think of it? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With that down, let's do one more thing here off the top. Speaking of highly anticipated movies, one of probably the biggest films still left to come out this year is a little film called Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. Now,
What's it called?
Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker.
Have you heard about it,
dude?
No.
I don't know what you mean.
It's this little thing. It's a sub-company of Disney.
Oh.
Lucas Movies or something like that.
Okay.
So it's coming. And, a lot of the discussion that's been going on lately has been surrounding the ideas, we still have not really gotten a full official trailer yet. We got a little tease that we got at a while ago at Star Wars Celebration. They had a little sizzle reel that they put out from D23. But what they really, people want this full first real trailer to come out. Now, what I had heard before, and this comes as a surprise to nobody, because I think everybody's been expecting this when you consider exactly just what the pattern has been the last few years. We've been hearing that's going to air during a Monday Night Football game. That's no surprise. That's been their pattern. Now, I had heard a couple different things. I heard it was going to come out this coming Monday during Monday Night Football, or I believe on the 21st, which is, I believe, a Patriot game, if I'm not mistaken. Could be. But the one that I heard that I believed was this Monday. That's what I heard. So I've been telling people, I believe it's going to be this week. But I had heard it was going to be Monday Night Football this week. But I had heard a few other people say the following week. Now there are other reports and rumors circulating around the internet today that have not been confirmed and have not been verified by anybody. Let's be clear about that. But they're saying right now the word is October 21st, and they're going to pull the thing that all of us said they were probably going to do, which is the end of the trailer is going to be tickets on sale now. And that's when they'll probably go on sale with the tickets. Listen, at first, when they first pulled out this Monday Night Football thing, because I believe they did that with The Force Awakens. It wasn't the first trailer, but I believe they dropped a big trailer with The Force Awakens on Monday Night Football. And a lot of people are like, really? At a football game? But it was bonkers successful for them. Then they did it again, and there's no reason to break that pattern. Look, we all know that the trailer was going to come out this month in October. Everybody knows that. You knew it, I knew it, everybody knows that. So this seems to make sense to me. I'll still hold out a 5% chance that it'll be this Monday, but it's looking more and more unlikely. But yeah, I do think it's probably going to end up being Monday. If not Monday, then certainly sometime this week. But it does make sense. Rob, you look at this pattern they've been doing. Have you seen them be successful with this whole Monday Night Football joint partnership launch of these trailers? It seems to drive up the numbers for Monday Night Football, and it seems to get a lot of eyeballs on the trailer. Do you think this is actually what's going to happen? How do you see this?
Well, you know, both of these movies, of course, underperformed at the box office. They barely eked out a couple of $100 million, right? So, no, of course it's successful. And I think that it'll be just as successful. You know, I'm seeing the needle move back up toward the level of excitement for this film. People are beginning to talk about it, and why shouldn't we? It's another Star Wars movie. You've got The Mandalorian coming out. I expect to have full-on Star Wars fever for the entire month of December. I'll be rocking The Mandalorian episodes. I'll be waiting for Rise of Skywalker. I might even build my 3-foot unlicensed model kit of a Star Destroyer that's going to require about 3,000 different fiber optics in it. I'm going to do it, man. Fiber optic city. Star Wars is coming back, and I'm excited.
When you build it, can I have it?
Yeah.
No.
Oh.
Can John and I fight for it?
No, you can't, because it's made of resin. I mean, it's big. Well, maybe you can. Maybe I'll bring it in,
dude. At Star Wars Galaxy Edge, I should mention this. At Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, there's one of the shops, right? And it's got a lot of little doohickeys and whatever, but all over the shop are these giant, like hanging from the ceiling is this 5-foot long, all steel Star Destroyer.
Oh, I want it.
And I walked in and I'm like, how much? And they're like, oh, that's not actually for sale. I'm like, damn.
Everything's for sale.
Then I saw this, one of the things I actually like from the prequels, I saw Sebulba's pod racer. I think probably about like a 1/5 scale. I mean, it's big. And I'm like, how much? And like, oh, that's not actually for sale. And there's like 10 things in there. I'm like, what is for sale? I felt like I was in the Monty Python's cheese shop sketch.
Well,
what exactly cheese do you have?
Let me just tell you, if you have not seen it, the new Lego $700 4,000-piece Star Destroyer.
I've seen it. I've not seen it assembled, but I've seen the
I have the
box.
original version of that. They released in 2003. That was very rickety, and they've made it better. If there is one Star Wars Lego special edition set to buy, even more so than the Falcon, the Star Wars Star Destroyer is very impressive, because even though it's made of Lego, it still looks just like a Star Destroyer. You should get that.
Well, then I would unleash the crackle. Get out the glue and just solidify that. I'd put liquid cement around it to make
All
sure.
you need to do is I'm sure somebody makes a LED kit for it. It's dope, dude. I'm gonna bust on
Hang it
that.
for my scene. Anyway, Chris, let me ask you: do you think this is when we're going to get this Star Wars trailer?
I mean, I feel like we're never going to get the Star Wars trailer. I feel like it's just going to be like, let's just do word of mouth this time. Grassroots movie, you know? It's fine. When we get it, I'll believe it. I don't know. I've just been waiting for it for so long. It feels like the James Bond trailer. Rob and I were just talking about that. Like,
Where is
where
it?
are these trailers?
Well, yeah,
Why aren't you giving me them?
But the Star Wars movie's a lot closer.
This is very true. But I feel like maybe it'll come out then because, you know, all of us really cross-pollinate football and Star Wars. I don't. Every time you guys make a sports metaphor, I'm so confused.
Come on, man. The Seahawks are the Jedi Knights of the Pacific Northwest.
Oh,
You know
good
it. I
tie-in.
know it. We all know it.
The good tie-in. All right, question
What
is, guys,
city is that?
are you expecting to see it on Monday Night Football? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With all that down and out of the way, let's now move on to our main topics today. How do we select our main topics here on the John Campea Show? Well, it's really rather simple. See, you guys come up with them by going over to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Once you guys get there, you'll see a form. Fill it out with your topic or question, hit submit, and then maybe, just maybe, you might see your topic or question featured here on the John Campea Show. With that down, let's move on to our first main topic today. Chris, what is our first main topic today?
This is from Tina Almedia. According to Variety, Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, probably better known for playing Black Manta in Aquaman, is going to have a lead role in Matrix 4. What do you think of the casting? Could he be playing a young Morpheus? How you guys feel about this?
Yeah, so listen, this dude is on a roll right now. Yahya is on a roll right now because not only was he Black Manta, then he did an episode of Black Mirror. Then he's going to be in, he's the lead in the new Candyman. He had a small part in Us. He's playing like the founder of the Black Panthers in the trial of the Chicago 7. This dude is just a hot name right now. And so the word coming out of Variety is that he is going to be, they're calling it a lead role. A movie called Matrix with Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss, and he's got what they're calling a lead role in the new Matrix movie. So just this guy's star just continues to be on the rise. And by the way, while I did not love all the things they did with Black Manta in the Aquaman movie, I thought he was a good Black Manta. I liked him in that movie, I did. So the question becomes, okay, he's in it. Do I like him being in it? Absolutely. To me, it's never a mistake to add talent. This dude clearly has it. A lot of other filmmakers in this business right now are recognizing it, and they're lining up to put him in projects. So this is great. This is great. Question is he a young Morpheus? Now, there's two ways to answer that question. Number one, because he's black, he's got to be related. He's got to be related to Morpheus? Really? It kind of reminds me of when The Force Awakens was coming out, when we saw John Boyega in the trailer. It was like, he must be Lando's son. Why? Because he's the one black guy in the Star Wars universe. He must be Lando's son. There's that too. But to be fair to the question, there were some rumors going around earlier that we could be getting that the reason we're not seeing Lawrence Fishburne in this movie was because they might be going for a younger version of Morpheus. Now, that was never confirmed by anybody. That was just the whispers going around. Now, Variety right now is saying they're hearing he's not going to be the younger version of Morpheus. But they're saying they're not 100% sure about that. But there's he could be connected to Morpheus in some way, shape, or form. So we'll have to kind of wait and see. Rob, bottom line for me is, I like the casting. This dude's an up-and-comer. I like what I've seen from him so far. Why not add new talent to the film? I like it. I'm going to guess, just a guess, I'm going to guess he is not playing a young version of Morpheus. It's certainly possible because of the previous rumors. I'm going to guess that he's not. What do you think about the casting, and do you think he's going to be young Morpheus?
Well, first of all, the Matrix franchise does have a precedent for replacing a black actress playing the same character with another black actress. They didn't change race. They could have, but they didn't. The Oracle, of course, because one of the original Oracle passed away, sadly. Right. Both, by the way, women were fantastic in the role of the Oracle, I thought. I love the Matrix franchise. I think the sequels, the much maligned sequels, have gotten better with age. I love that they're bringing it back. Now, I could see they could absolutely... If one incarnation of Morpheus, the Lawrence Fishburne Morpheus, died, you're in the Matrix, so you can bring back another version of that character, and I think it could work out. Keanu Reeves died or merged with the machine city. So the fact that he's coming back, how do they do that? I don't know. So I think there's a possibility, but on the other hand, why not? Why do we even assume that he's Morpheus? It's so weird. Like you said, just because he's black, why wouldn't he be a new character? You know, I would think that there would be a new character. They would have to do something, because the last time a Matrix movie came out was, what, 2003? Did Revolutions come out in 2004?
Oh, I couldn't.
Reloaded came out in 2003. And it's because I have the poster on my wall, and it's like it's just the 3D Matrix thing, but it says 2003 on the bottom. And I think it's great. I think he's playing a new character. I think they would have to, because with the way that the franchise was ended, it didn't exactly end where everybody was in the sunset, happy and content.
Well, there was that one big scene of the sunset, the two of them sitting on the park bench in the sun.
Well, that's true, but it wasn't Morpheus.
No, it was not literal, right?
And I do think that whatever it's going to be, I'm excited for it, but I don't think he's Morpheus. I think he's going to be a new character.
Chris, do you like the casting, and do you think he's Morpheus?
I do like the casting. I don't necessarily think he's Morpheus. I'm excited to see more from him, because I really liked him in Greatest Showman, actually. I think he was wonderful in that. And then when he was in...
That's right.
Yeah, he has a very small part, and then he's lovely in it. And then I thought he was so underutilized as Black Manta. That's one of my favorite DC villains, actually. And so I felt like they kind of threw him in this movie and be like, next time, buddy, we'll get to you. I feel like he wasn't used properly. And so but I thought he did really well with what he had. So I'd like to see more of him in movies, because I think he's a tremendous talent.
You know, I got to agree with you. I think he's really talented too, but he just looks cool.
Yeah.
Like
he's cool
really got this big screen leading man look to him.
100%. Those cheekbones.
I just like looking at him on the big screen.
Mm-hmm.
Question is, guys, what do you think about the casting of Yahya? And do you think he's going to play a young Morpheus, connected to Morpheus, totally independent new character? What do you make about that? I still don't care about Matrix 4, I'll be honest with you. But it'll be curious to see how they put this thing together. Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, with that down and out of the way, let's move on to our second main topic today. Chris, what is our second main topic today?
This one comes from Patreon supporter Jacob Gannon. This question is a two-parter. Do you think The Suicide Squad is a foolish name for a sequel to Suicide Squad? I feel like it'll definitely confuse people. Also, if the purpose of it is to make people forget about the original, isn't that not smart? Because W.B. Ayer's Suicide Squad did phenomenal at the box office and was a hit with younger, less critical audiences. Thoughts?
Less critical audiences. That sounds like a way of saying stupid people. And by the way, I'm one of the guys that liked Suicide Squad. I liked Suicide Squad. I look, the Suicide Squad was a hot mess. I mean, that's what I always come up with. It is a hot mess, that movie. But to me, the fun things about it outweighed the negative things about it. I had fun with it, and I had a good time with it. Getting to the first part of the question, number one, I don't know if anybody's made it 100% official that it's the final title of this movie is going to be The Suicide Squad. I don't know that anybody has kind of thrown that out there yet at this point. But it is what at least they're kind of making it the working title at this point at any rate, because if you go to like the IMDb page right now, it's The Suicide Squad. Is it going to confuse audiences? No. It's not going to confuse audiences. No one's going to have a problem with that. No one's going to like, oh, my brain's melting. I don't get it. Now, look, I'm also the type of guy, though, I prefer sequential movies in a series to just use numbers. Like, I like Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3. It makes it very easy 10 years from now when you're talking about films and all that kind of stuff. You know exactly which films you're talking about. So I prefer that, but no, I don't think the whole notion of The Suicide Squad is going to confuse anybody. But let's not look back historically with rose-colored glasses here and pretend that Suicide Squad was some kind of beloved film. It wasn't. There were people like me who enjoyed it, but it was not a beloved film. It had some fans. I was one of them, but I'm not going to pretend like I was in the majority. I was not. I was in the minority. I was in the absolute minority of that. And I can understand why a lot of people didn't like it. But it did do well. It overperformed. It made north of $700 million, which is fantastic by any standards. I mean, that's great. But, yeah, you do kind of want to let people forget or move on from that original one, because it did have. Look, the first film had a lot of problems, and it had a lot of detractors and all that kind of stuff, even though I had fun with it. So, number one, I don't think it's that bad of an idea, even if they call it the Suicide Squad, which we don't know 100% that's going to be the final title. And number two, it's also not a bad idea to try to get people to move on from that first Suicide, because while, as in any movie has some fans, a lot of people, even a lot of the diehard DC fans, will probably put Suicide Squad at the bottom of their list. So, no, I don't think that's a problem either. And I don't think that undermines people like me who did enjoy the Suicide Squad either. So that's my thoughts. Rob, how would you answer that?
Well, we could run a contest, to name Suicide Squad. Like maybe we could call it a Suicide Squad Runs Through It, or Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Suicide Squads. I don't know.
I like that first one, a Suicide Squad Runs Through It. I like that.
But, look, I hated the first Suicide Squad. I didn't have fun with it. I thought it was the worst edited big budget movie I've ever seen. And then I found out, it was edited by a trailer company. I mean, it drove me bananas, and I thought it really underserved what was a great cast. And I found it to be incredibly disappointing. So for me, the only direction they can go is up. And I'm very, very excited to see this movie. I think it's so in James Gunn's wheelhouse. And I think ultimately, John, they're not going to call it The Suicide Squad. I think they're going to call it Suicide Squad, something.
Boogaloo.
Why not? Because James Gunn could call a movie Suicide Squad 2 Electric Boogaloo
and get away with it.
So I, although I still think you should call it a Suicide Squad Runs Through It, and the poster could be they're all running, towards something. But I don't know. I'm excited about this movie. I never thought I'd be excited about a movie whose first movie I hated, but I'm really excited about this movie. And I like the cast. Obviously, I love what James Gunn does, and whatever they call it, whatever it might be called, even if it's The Suicide Squad, I will go see this movie. I can't wait to see it. I want to see it with a big audience. So,
here's an interesting thing too. We got to keep in mind about this as well. With the first Suicide Squad, there was a lot of stories going around that the studio, locked David Ayer out of the editing room at some points and blah blah blah. When James Gunn became a free agent, with that whole fiasco, the way Disney botched that whole situation and they let him go, and thankfully they later corrected and brought him back. But let's not forget, every player in this town was lining up at James Gunn's door trying to get him to sign up to make their films. And they were throwing everything at him. You want to make this? You want to make this? You want to make this? I guarantee you, because he was in demand, it was a buyer's market for him. He's got stipulations in place that whatever they're going to do with Suicide Squad, it's going to be his Suicide Squad. Like, I'm sure, as is appropriate, once he got his outline of what he wanted the movie to be, I'm sure he sat down with the execs and got everybody on board. And once they got on board with his vision for it, now they're going to let him go make his movie. And that's how it should be, by the way. Like, the filmmakers, the execs should all get on board with what the movie's idea is and what direction they're going with it. Get on board with it then you let the director go and make their movie. And if the director starts changing the movie from what you agreed to, then maybe you step in. But otherwise, if you've already agreed to it, let him make. And I think one of the big differences between the first Suicide Squad and this one is they're going to let James Gunn do his thing. And then when it comes out, we'll have if it's a bad movie, we got to point the finger at James. And if it's great, which I think it'll probably be, then we give a lot of credit to James, and then we can look forward to him going on and making a Marvel movie, and maybe then coming back and doing another DC movie at some point. The possibilities are endless. Question is, guys, what do you think about that? Do you think it's going to cause some confusion if they call the Suicide Squad The Suicide Squad? Do you think they should try to draw people's attention to the original one or try to kind of shy away from it? What's your thoughts on that? Jump into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With that down and out of the way, let's move on to main topic number 3. Chris, what is our third main topic today?
Third topic is from Kevin Crutchfield. The new He-Man movie that Sony was producing starring Noah Centineo, Sony is looking to sell it now to Netflix. Rothman's reasoning behind the decision sounds like it stems from fear of another box office flop. THR notes that the lackluster performance of Men in Black International earlier this year played a role in Sony's newfound financial cautiousness. Handing distribution rights over to Netflix would minimize risk to the studio if the film turns out to be a dud. What are your thoughts? So, do you think that they're going to do this because of fear of it flopping, or are they doing this?
Yeah, so here's the thing. Word started shooting around last night that Sony may be looking at selling the Man of Steel, the He-Man Masters of the Universe movie that they've got targeted right now for like a March 2021 release date. They went and hired some kid to play He-Man, which the only thing I can imagine is maybe he's Prince Adam, and they're going to get some John Cena-like body double to play He-Man, and that's possible, I guess. I don't know. But there's been no movement on this project whatsoever. And what the story they're talking about comes out of the Hollywood Reporter. That's talking that they heard word that they may be looking at moving this thing and dumping it off on Netflix because it guarantees some cash. All right. Going down to the second paragraph there, it says, but while the picture is on the calendar for release in March of 2021, sources tell the Hollywood Reporter that studio chairman Tom Rothman is exploring the prospect of getting risk-free cash for the pricey project by making it for Netflix instead. A studio source says talks are only preliminary, but such a deal would make Sony the next studio after Paramount to start making movies belonging exclusively or almost exclusively to the streamer. Now, the article goes on. It's a very, very good read. You can find it again over at the Hollywood Reporter, and I encourage you to check it out. It goes in to talk about how a number of studios these days right now are actually making some content exclusively for streaming services, or are creating divisions now within the larger companies to make content for streaming division. As a matter of fact, Warner Brothers itself has a division that is actually making content that they're looking to sell to other streamers, even though they've got HBO Max coming. So, I mean, it's creating a Wild West sort of playing field right now where we're in the midst of something where everything's just kind of shaking around. I think we're a couple of years away from seeing how it all ultimately shakes out at this point. But one of the great things they point out in this Hollywood Reporter article is that there is a risk involved either way for Sony when it comes to Masters of the Universe. You can try to put this thing out, have it flop, and take another big financial bath like you did on I keep wanting to call it International Men in Black, like you did with Men in Black. Or if you go with the Netflix route, you're playing it safer, but what happens if it's loved and beloved? You've just given away your rights to it, and you had a potential hit on your hand, and now you gave it away. So it's interesting. It is important to note, though, right now, Rob, that while a lot of people are running around running headlines that Sony is selling He-Man to Netflix, that He-Man is going to be on Netflix, that is not what is being reported. The actual report is there could be some preliminary talks going on right now exploring what the options are. That means it might happen, but it might not. So if you're seeing the headlines saying, did you hear that Master Universe is going to be on Netflix? Ignore those. That's not where we're at yet. It's not where we're at yet. Rob, you and I both know, and everybody else knows, the Hollywood filmmaking business is a high-stakes game of roulette. You know, you can do, as in life, you can do everything right with a movie and have it flop. You can do a lot of things wrong and get lucky and have a hit. It is every time you make a movie, it's a gamble. Sony is in a position right now where they've, put 50 on red and lost. And now they're a little bit nervous. They're looking to hedge their bets, to use Vegas terminology. They're looking to hedge their bets a little bit. Let me ask you this, Rob. If you're in charge, let's say you are the right-hand man and chief counselor to Rothman right now over at Sony. And he comes to you, as all the Hollywood executives do, and say, Rob,
all of them
do. Say, Rob, I've got this conundrum. We've got this potentially popular franchise with Masters of the Universe and He-Man. But we just took a bath on a couple of high-profile projects. Should we go all in with this? Or should we just hedge our bets and go the Netflix route? What would you tell him to do in this situation?
Well, first of all, I would tell them to listen to the words of Wesley Snipes in Passenger 57. Always bet on black, John.
Of course.
Not bet on red.
Of course.
But anyway, this is the thing. First of all, the He-Man franchise is very lucrative from a marketing perspective, obviously, because of the toys. I mean, that's what you're going to do. If you're going to bring back He-Man, you can't not re-energize a toy franchise or something. I know the world is changing. Kids are playing video games as opposed with action figures. But, the thing about streaming, like you pointed out, there are no marketing costs, especially with Netflix. They'll throw out a trailer on YouTube and that's their marketing budget. But I think with a movie like this, you're either going to go all in on it or you're not. if you're going to make a He-Man film and you're going to in a post Lord of the Rings world, how do you put Eternia on the big screen? You have to make Castle Grayskull epic. You can't hedge your bets. But on the other hand, look what Netflix did with the Dark Crystal series. And maybe that's a way to go. Maybe they're looking at Netflix going, okay. But the thing about Netflix is if they want to own everything outright, why would Sony make a big franchise property that has a lot of upside in terms of sequels and merchandising and share that with Netflix? I can't see that. I think they're either going to make the movie themselves or they're just going to give it, like you said, they'll come up with a new division and it'll just be a Netflix movie. I can't see it's going to be some bifurcation or split because He-Man is too big of a franchise. If they do it right, it could be huge.
Okay, but that's the thing. You used a very, very important word there. Could. It could also be a monumental flop. I mean, it could be that the era and the opportunity to do a Masters of the Universe may have come and went with the early 2000s. I mean, it's possible, right?
I agree, but Netflix doesn't want to. There's this watching movies like the Cloverfield Paradox. You get the feeling that people are just unloading their bad movies onto Netflix, and Netflix doesn't want that. They wanted to be in business with studios. I get that, but when they start getting hand-me-downs or cast-offs, when Netflix is doing their own shows like The Dark Crystal, like the Breaking Bad movie, which drops tonight at midnight. I haven't seen it. Can't wait to see it. But Netflix wants to step up their game. They don't want half-baked movies. They want good stuff the way everybody else does.
But for Netflix, there could be added incentive because remember, Netflix is already in the Masters of the Universe game a little bit.
It's true.
They've got the She-Ra series. They've got the Kevin Smith animated stuff coming out.
Yeah.
So it could be for them, a Masters of the Universe feature live action film could prove to be a bigger value play for them than say with anybody else.
No, that is very, very true. But an animated series is very different from a live action movie, especially in terms of cost. And I think a Masters of the Universe film, to do it correctly, you're talking $150 million to $200 million investment, which would be the most expensive film unless they split the cost, which would be, by the way, if they did split the costs, they're creating a new model for Hollywood. I mean, the great thing about streaming services is you do not have the marketing dollars and the risk is mitigated. I'm not saying there's no risk, but streaming services, when it's a buyout, and it is.
Well, they are the de facto distributor then at that point,
absolutely.
right? Yeah.
So it makes it much more, for a very risk-averse Hollywood, streaming services make it very attractive because, again, the reason they would want to share they're sharing the risk.
Yeah, so and that's what they're saying that Rothman could be doing. He's like, hey, look, we're going to spend $135 million on making this movie. Netflix is going to purchase it from us for $155 million. We make we make the movie, we get all the revenue back, and we get $20 million on top of that in profit. But then the risk is, what if it's ragingly popular? You just gave it away. Chris, first of all, let me ask you, what do you think they're going to do? And what would you do if you were in Sony's position?
See, now I'm so torn after hearing you guys talk because before my initial thought was, no, send it on the big screen. He-Man should be this spectacle. I want to see that on a huge big screen with Eternia and all these massive fights. And I want it to be like bloody and intense and with big muscular men.
And She-Ra.
Give me She-Ra. And give her shorts. I don't care what anyone says. Why is she fighting in a skirt? Grow up. But now, I mean, with the Dark Crystal argument that Rob brought up, now I'm like, oh, yeah, that was really good. I think Dark Crystal Age of Resistance is probably one of the greatest things that was done this year.
Oh, it's fantastic.
It's so good. It really delivered. And that was something that I was very skeptical of going into because I love the original Dark Crystal so much. So I feel like maybe take the gamble and go for the big screen. But I feel like if you're already concerned about this movie, and it's not even in production, is it?
No,
I mean,
no.
Yeah,
so far from it.
Yeah. That makes me nervous already, though. If it's kind of I don't know if we should try to give it to somebody else. Like it sounds like they already don't believe in their own film.
Yeah,
that makes me nervous.
Really sounds like.
That's exactly it. Because I'm thinking, if you're Rothman and you're looking at this and you say, I think we got something really special here. Mm-hmm. Listen, yes, it's a risk. Every frickin' movie you put out is a risk. Even if it's got the word Avengers on it. Yep. Every movie to some degree is a risk. Well, maybe not so much in Avengers, maybe, but just about everything else is a risk. So, but if you think you got something good, go for it. If you're like, hey, I think it's good, but I'm not sure how the audience is going to respond. I don't know, maybe Netflix becomes an option. Question here is, guys, what do you think about this? Number one, let's say you're in charge. Do you hold out, put it on big screen for the audiences the way real movies are supposed to be experienced? Or are you thinking, hey, there's a safer route here that we can still get the movie made and not lose any money by going with Netflix? Do you go that route? There's some pros to both of them. There's some cons to both of them. What do you think? What do you do? Jump down in the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With all that down, let's now move on to our fourth main topic today. Chris, what is our fourth main topic today?
This one is from Jordan Marshall. Hey, John, with there being a Spider-Man Tom Holland already in the MCU, could Sony, after their deal, renegotiate the deal with Disney to not only keep Tom in the MCU, but at the same time make a new deal that allows them to have their own live-action Spidey in the Venom Sonyverse? Thanks and have a great day. So do you think we could do one of your favorite things, parallel universes, time travel, something, more Spider-Man?
All right, so this is something that's came up a lot, especially since once it became public that the Sony-Disney deal fell apart and everybody started talking, well, could both of them do it and blah, blah, blah. And then now everything is kumbaya again, and we're going to have at least 2 more movies with Spider-Man in the MCU, 1 standalone Spider-Man movie, 1 other MCU movie. And then I think that's going to be it. They may extend it out after that, but I think they're aiming towards that being it. But who knows? That's a discussion for another time. The question about, could both Disney have Spider-Man and Sony have their own Spider-Man at the same time, and different variations of it? Well, what if Sony let, Marvel and have Miles Morales, and Sony's verse have Peter Parker, or vice versa, or whatever? That's a question that's been around for the long time. And for the longest time, what the answer to that is that stupid. You could not possibly, there's no way Disney would want to have live-action Spider-Man while another studio is also making live-action Spider-Man. If you want to talk about things that could cause confusion with audiences and stuff like that, and listen, if Sony makes a crappy Spider-Man movie, like if instead of making, Spider-Man 2, they make the Amazing Spider-Man 2, and will that negatively impact these are things you got to be worried about. These are things they would, so no, the answer to that has always been no, Rob. It's always been no. But is it no now? We're living in, look, and let me be clear about this before I say anything else. I still believe that idea of 2 different, completely separate live-action Spider-Mans, one in one studio's universe, one in another studio's universe, I do not believe that will ever happen. I do not believe it should happen, and I don't think it's what they're going to do. But that said, in this new reality, where now Disney and Sony both have an increased awareness of Spider-Man's value, in this new reality where they're making deals where it looks like there weren't deals being able to be made before, while I still don't believe they should ever do something like this, nor do I think they will, Rob, I simply at this point as a fan can't say it's impossible. And I would have said that before. I have said that before. But now as the sands in the desert shift, we have new landscapes, and in this new landscape, I don't know that it's an impossibility. I don't know that this is something that absolutely never could happen. It absolutely shouldn't. It would be a mistake on both their parts, and I think they both know that. But we're living in a world where cats and dogs are hanging out together and crazy things are happening. I just can't say as a fan anymore that it's the most impossible thing. I still think it's the dumbest thing, but it ain't impossible. While I would have said before it's a 0% chance, absolute goose egg, I couldn't argue with you if you were to come to me and say you think there's like a 12% chance. I would go, there actually might be. I don't know, Rob. In this crazy world that's gone mad, where we used to think life was a comedy or a tragedy, now we're thinking it's a comedy. What do you think could we see a potential future here where we have 2 studios each doing live action Spider-Man at the same time? What do you think?
Well, as you so eloquently pointed out, I live in a household with dogs and a cat living together, and it is mass hysteria, and you never know what's going to happen from day to day. But here's the thing. I absolutely could see a world where you have a live action Miles Morales film over at Sony, and you have the Tom Holland live action Spider-Man movie for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The only thing is that what happens when Sony's Miles Morales movie underperforms compared to the MCU film? Everybody's going to be beholden. It's always about money. And if they think those movies could work maybe on alternating years, which, by the way, I could see that, John. I would love to see live action Miles Morales movies over at Sony, because we know there's a multiverse already. They're animated. I mean, you could even have the animated Miles Morales get pulled through some space warp and become live action. That could be how the movie begins. I mean, there's craziness, and people will buy into it if it's good. People will go see anything if the characters are great and the story is great and it's well executed. That's what people want. And if they can do that, why not? Why not do it?
I think there's a couple of reasons for not doing that.
But it's all about money.
Well, I mean, it is all about money. But number one, let's say you're, oh my God, what the embarrassment. What happens if Sony and Disney put out a live action Spider-Man movie in the same year? And oh my God, Sony's was better. Sony's was better.
Yeah.
Do you think Bob Iger or Kevin Feige or anybody over at Marvel? And by the way, Marvel has never made a Spider-Man movie as good as the best Sony Spider-Man movies. Just saying, Marvel's never made a Spider-Man movie as good as Spider-Man 2. They've never made a Spider-Man movie as good as Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Sony has made the best Spider-Man movies. Of course, that's subjective, that's open to interpretation. But from my point of view, they've never come close. So can you do that? Can you risk, or the other way around? If you're Sony, can you risk putting out Spider-Man movies in the same, like within 6 or 7 months of each other? How humiliating is that to your studio if you both put out live action Spider-Man movies and all everybody's talking about is Marvel's was better? Marvel's was better. I mean, it just seems like, so many bad things could happen there, Rob.
It's like 1983 when you got Sean Connery and Never Say Never Again, and you got Roger Moore and
I knew you were going to go there. I knew you were going to go there.
You know who wins? We all win. Although the score of Never Say Never Again, no one won. Michel Legrand's score. But I look, yes, it could be embarrassing, and it certainly would be embarrassing. And I do think there would actually be maybe a healthy sense of competition if that ever happened, to see whose movie would be better. And maybe in the long run, audiences would win. But there's going to be one of those movies, they're not going to make the exact same dollar amount at the box office. One would outgross the other. And I always believe in healthy competition, but do shareholders? And I mean, I can't even imagine what kind of deal points would that be? How long would it take to hammer that stuff out?
And who's to say one would be Miles Morales, one would be Peter? What they're both doing, Peter Parker?
Yeah, well, they're both.
Or they're both. I mean, it's just I just think. Look, there's a reason we don't have Batman in Paramount movies and Warner Brother movies and whatever. There's a reason we don't have James Bond.
But
it just doesn't seem like a good idea.
John, if it was more like a Matrix 2 and 3 or Back to the Future 2 and 3 or even a Lord of the Rings situation where it could be a big story, and so you have part 1 and a part 2. And one is in the MCU, and then maybe part 2 brings in Venom or Morbius.
Now you're going in a whole new direction where it's not just different studios using the same character. Now you're talking about them crossing over storylines, which I think Kevin Feige has been pretty firm that he doesn't want to do.
No, I know, but it could. I mean,
but at the same time, we're living in an environment now that I think anything is possible.
My dog's like my cat.
I don't like your cat. But we're living in an environment now where anything is possible. Things we would have said were impossible when reality was a certain way. Reality has changed just in the last couple of months. And I don't think we can look in the mirror and say that won't ever happen. We just can't say that now. I still don't think it will. I still don't think it should. But I am not going to choke, on my morning milkshake, and if I open up my newsreader and see that Disney and Sony are both going to do live action, I'm not going to fall over in shock anymore, because it's just a different thing. Guys, what do you think? Do you think we could be living in a world right now where in the next couple of years we could literally see both Marvel and Sony doing live action Spider-Man movies at the same time? Or do you think cooler heads will prevail and they won't be idiots and won't do such a thing? I'm not sure that they won't. I'll be honest with you. I'm not sure that they're not going to do it. What do you guys think? Jump down in the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With that down, let's move on to our final main topic today. Chris, what is our fifth main topic today?
So our last question today comes from Daniel Hogan. As much as I get enjoyment out of you destroying the trailer for Last Christmas, Campea,
Horrible
I don't.
trailer.
It's charming. I believe. I honestly think the worst trailer of the year goes to this new film coming out this weekend, Jexi. Every time I've seen this trailer in theaters, the audience and I are just bewildered by the sheer stupidity of this film and how it even exists. Just how badly do you think it's going to do at this weekend's box office? Thank you for taking my question, and may the force be with you.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing. I think this Jexi movie with Adam Devine looks terrible. I think the trailers are awful. But I got to tell you, brother, your experience in a movie theater when a trailer is played has been very different from my experience being in theaters when that trailer is played. Because I've been in theaters and that trailer plays and I'm looking at, this is the stupidest thing. How did this movie even get made? But then I look around the theater and everybody's in stitches, including my wife. Anna's just in stitches about that. I mentioned to her this morning as she was leaving for work, I said, you know, Jexi comes out tonight. She's so excited. She wants to see that movie so bad. I know Erin Cummings is dying to see this movie. She was all excited about it too. And I'll tell you what, while I am with you, I think it looks ridiculous. The audiences I've seen it with have been very receptive to it. And so it's got me going, well, maybe. But in the question of how badly will this flop, the answer is it's going to flop pretty hard. Let's look at the tracking numbers for this weekend. We got a number of films opening up this weekend. Let's look at some of the tracking going on here. Addams Family is being projected right now to come in second place. Again, these are just tracking numbers. We'll see what happens after the weekend. Coming out at $25 million. This is a movie I still don't understand how anybody greenlit it.
It doesn't look very good.
No, it doesn't. In concept, it's a terrible concept. Who thought, yeah, everybody's dying to see another Addams Family movie right now? Like, this is maybe in 1980, but I still don't understand how anybody thought this was a good idea to make this movie. Now watch, I go watch it, and I think it's the best movie of the year. But for now, I just don't even know why this thing was even made. Then we got Gemini Man, which is looking to open very disappointingly at around $28 million. This was an expensive film. They need more than that. I liked it, but it's got weaknesses, though. It's got weaknesses. Overall, I had some fun with it. But look at Jexi. Jexi right now, the projections are $6.5 million. $6.5 million. Now, granted, this movie was not as expensive to make as Addams Family, nor was it as expensive to make as Gemini Man. I'm pretty sure Adam Devine isn't actually 63 years old, and they've digitally just make him look the way he does. So this one's a significantly cheaper film. But they have not done a great job raising a lot of awareness or making, getting the audience even know. Look, my wife's been looking forward to this movie, and she didn't even realize it was coming out today. That tells you what type of a job they've done. That somebody who was even excited about this movie had no idea it was opening.
It's like a Netflix film.
It's kind of like a Netflix film in many ways. I mean, it just kind of sets that all up. Right now, granted, a lot of the attention has been brought to Gemini Man. Everybody's talking Gemini Man right now, for some for good reasons, some for not so good reasons. So a lot of people are talking about that. Jexi kind of got lost in the mix. So, look, I don't know if this is going to be the most delightful comedy of the year. I don't know if it's going to be a horrible piece of trash. But what does look fairly certain is that they're not going to be popping any bottles of champagne at the studios over the box office performance, because it looks like I'm even going to guess it's going to come in under that 6.5. I'm gonna guess it's actually gonna be lower than that projected number. Anyway, Rob, do you think this is a movie that could surprise us? Do you think it is heading towards some pretty disappointing waters?
Okay, I'm just gonna admit something. I want to see it. I thought the trailer was funny. I mean,
you and a lot of people, dude. You and a lot of people.
I've always maintained that the movie Her, Spike Jonze's Her, is one of the great science fiction films of the last 20 years. It stands up there with Children of Men and a number of others. And this looks like, the comedic flip side to Her, and there's just something appealing about it to me. We all have our operating systems we have to pay the piper to, I guess.
I love that, man. We all have our operating systems.
We all have our operating systems, kind of like we all have a hot cousin. I think that it's really, really true, and we have to deal with the reality of that. And there's a charming comedic spin here, and I kind of want to see this movie. And I think if I feel that way, maybe it'll be the drop dead Fred of 2019.
Oh,
Wow.
I
Who
love
knows?
Drop Dead
Aim
Fred.
high. Aim
Man.
high. Chris, you got any desire to see this Jexi thing? And do you think anybody's going to go out to see it?
No, I have no desire to see this. I mean, it does reinforce my belief that we need to be nice to the robots. So every time I talk to Alexa, I say, thank you, baby. I don't want them to come after me. When the uprising happens, they're going to let me be a pet, and it's going to be nice. And the rest of you who are yelling at your Siris and Alexas, watch out. But this looks really, really dumb. It looks like if you've ever had the misfortune of going to an Improv 101 show and they start doing long form improv, this looks like that. You know, a couple people in the chat too are saying it looks like a bad SNL skit that goes on too long. That's how it feels. It feels like it's sketch comedy that someone went, well, let's just stretch it. Let's just taffy this situation. I'm not into it. And I adore Adam. I think he's a real just precious little actor and I want good things for him. But he keeps picking some weird vehicles. I don't know.
Maybe the only ones he's getting.
I have
Possibly.
another.
He's great on HBO though. On the
Workaholics?
No, well, he was great on that. But he's got the show now with John Goodman. I can't think of the name right now. The religious show.
Where they're the evangelical
Yes,
family.
yeah.
I can't remember the name. It's got like the family name in it.
Yeah,
or something like that.
he's wonderful.
I haven't
on
seen
that
that yet.
It's a fun show. It's
I've heard
weird.
it's good.
I like it.
You know, I have to also say that I have a problem with the premise. If you had an operating system that was behaving the way the operating system is, at least in the trailers, I would think that would be a huge tool to use. Like if you had an operating system that fell in love with you or whatever, you could exploit that. You could get money sent to you that shouldn't be sent to you. I would think that you could become a criminal mastermind. That's the movie I want to see.
Well, who knows? Maybe that's the direction they go, Rob.
That's
Maybe
true.
your prayers will be answered, and that's the direction they go. Maybe this is a Riddler origin story. Maybe Jexi is just a Riddler
Wow.
origin story, and that's who Adam Devine actually is. He's actually the Riddler.
John, you know what? That is such an awesome idea. I wish that were the case.
You're welcome, everybody. You're welcome. Question is, guys, are any of you guys looking forward to seeing Jexi? How do you think it's going to do? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, with all of that stuff down and out of the way, we're going to move on to our live questions here just in a couple of minutes. But before we do, we are going to take a short break. We're going to give ourselves a couple of minutes to refill our drinks, stretch our legs, and all that kind of good stuff. So if you will be so indulgent with us, we will be back in just a couple of minutes getting to your live questions. We'll see you in a minute. Second here to be ready to go back and get things to it. We filled our drinks, we stretched our legs, everything's good now. So thank you for being patient with us. So we got a bunch of live questions to get to, guys. Remember, if you want to send in a live question read on the show, go ahead and use the super chat feature. It's a great way to make sure that your question gets read on video, but also it's a good way to support the channel as well along the way. And we thank you for all you guys who do that. All right, Rob, let's get things kicked off here. What do we got?
Ether Ardry, 1 of 2, weekly anime recommendation genre slice of life, recovery of an MMO junkie. After quitting her long-standing job of 11 years, Moriko is unemployed and returns to MMOs with her newly discovered free time and soon becomes a NEET, not in education, employment, or training. Will she recover? Wow. What do you think about that, John?
Well, I mean, it sounds pretty good. I was just recently seeing some documentary stuff online about this is a real thing, particularly I think in Japan and China. Is like there are a lot of, it's become a growing thing where people become, I mean, we use the word hermits.
Right.
They never leave their house. They never leave their house. And that's a fascinating thing. And as somebody who has literally peed in an empty soda bottle so I didn't have to get up from my World of Warcraft playing, I can tell you MMOs...
Oh, man, TMI.
MMOs are a real thing, my friend, that can get you into that. So it sounds like something that could be a legit thing, dude.
Wow. Well, you know what, though? I would be interested in watching the show. Like, what is every episode full of? Like, is she going to get up and make a sandwich?
Pee in a bottle. This episode, pee in a bottle. All right.
I'm in. Nathan Oswald is here. Birthdays. Dan Stevens is 37. Dale Earnhardt
you missed
Jr.
SC there.
Sorry. I missed SC. I'm sorry, SC. Top 10 horror movies. Exorcist, Alien, Prince of Darkness, The Thing, Event Horizon, The Witch, It Follows, Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, Nosferatu, and Antichrist. Man, I can get behind that. Is a great list. Fantastic. Although... I might take It Follows off it, but the rest of it, stellar list.
I'll tell you what else. Yeah, I remember me and our friend Dorina and her husband Brennan, who plays in my Star Wars RPG group. We got together to watch it. We were late to the party for It Follows. So we got together at Dorina's house to watch It Follows. And we heard about how amazing it is. It's incredible. And we watched and we're like, what did we miss? I didn't find it to be that good at all, but everybody else raved about it.
I loved the first half of it until they get into this like cabin, and then they just broke all their rules. Then the movie, I realized, oh, they don't know.
And what do you think about Event Horizon? Because I see a lot of people putting Event Horizon up there. I was never big on Event Horizon.
I think it's kind of, the problem with Event Horizon is I know all the hell stuff, like they got porn actresses and they shot all this horrific stuff with blood and sex that is not in the movie. Maybe I would like it more, but I like it. Look, I'm a sucker for spaceships, I'm a sucker for outer space, and I'm a sucker for hell. And I kind of got all of those things, but it just isn't as good as I want it to be, but I still like it, if that makes any sense.
All right, what's next?
Nathan Oswald says, birthdays, Dan Stevens, 37. Dale Earnhardt Jr., 45. Mario Lopez, 46.
Wow.
Boy, is he Saved by the Bell today or what? Brett Favre is 50. Michael Giacchino is 52.
That dude looks like he's 40.
I know, right? Good living. Jody Benson, 58. Bradley Whitford is 60. David Lee Roth is 65. Panama. Peter Coyote is 78. I love Peter Coyote.
I love getting these birthday lists. That's fun. I like it. But wow, David Lee Roth is 65. Unbelievable. All right, what's next?
Akish Telly says, he shot my dog. I get it.
One of the many great lines in in John Wick 3. That was because just when she said he shot my dog, the whole audience I was with was laughing already. And then when he says, I get it, everybody continued to laugh and have a good time with that. All right.
Yeah.
What's next?
Godzilla's girl. Hi, John. Love the show. Would you give a shout out to my best half, Kylie? Today is his, Kylie. Kyle. Today is his 30th birthday. And if you know Logan's Run, that means it's his last day.
It's
the
his
Sandmen
last day.
are coming for him.
Enjoy your day, Kyle. No, seriously, happy birthday to you, Kyle. May you have a magnificent, awesome day. Just to start off, a magnificent and awesome year ahead of you. May your days ahead be filled with glorious victory as you march on, my friend. And that's awfully good that your girl is sending that in. So that's awesome.
Maybe he'll find sanctuary.
Maybe he will find sanctuary and not be wiped out.
The Mandalorian of Gondor says, do you think we'll ever see Leto's Joker again? Every version of Joker has been loved except his. He received harsh criticism and deserves a second chance. I would like to see him again. I want to see him do more.
He doesn't need a second chance. He did well. I mean, I thought the biggest problem with Suicide Squad as a whole, but was that they underused him.
Yeah.
Like every moment, the best moments of Suicide Squad was when Harley and Joker were on screen together. That was such a deliciously toxic, codependent, awful relationship between the two of them. I was just magnetized to it when I was watching it. I thought it was a unique take on Joker. I enjoyed it. I did. I'm not saying it's the best. I'm not saying it's better than Joaquin Phoenix's or Heath Ledger's or anything like that, but I thought it was really quite good. They just mismanaged it, I thought, Rob.
Me too.
Right.
And they shot so much more than we saw.
Yeah.
That was the frustrating thing about it.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
Next is Nathan Oswald says, John, do the Axel Foley laugh.
Nope, that's not going to happen. All right, next.
Josera Mates says, Holland will continue as Spider-Man in the Sony Spider-Man universe.
Yeah, I think when it's all said and done, I think that's a fairly safe assumption. I think he's been fairly vocal about that. I think whenever this deal is done, I think he will continue on as Spider-Man in Sony. I mean, look, and a lot of things can happen between now and when this new deal runs out. Maybe they make another new deal, but if everything stays the course, I think he will go in there and continue to be Spider-Man for Sony.
Absolutely. Joseph Mate sends in another one. My top 10 comic book films are 1, Endgame, 2, Joker, 3, Far From Home, 4, Shazam, and Captain Marvel I haven't seen, Dark Phoenix, Glass, and Hellboy. Oh, and Captain Marvel. No comma there. Let me read it. And Captain Marvel, I haven't seen Dark Phoenix, Glass, and Hellboy. You saw Captain Marvel, and it's number 4 along with Shazam.
I mean, I don't know that you're missing out on a lot by not seeing Dark Phoenix, Glass, or Hellboy. I mean, look, there are some people who like Glass a lot more than I did, and that's good. And I didn't hate Glass. I didn't even dislike Glass.
No, I enjoyed it.
I didn't dislike it. I really thought, I just thought it was a significant step down from Split. I mean, that's all it is. But I'm not going to chalk that up as I'm not going to chalk that up as a loss for M. Night. I'll call that one a draw for M. Night, for me personally. But yeah. All right, what's next?
The Curse of the Shamhammer is gone. Lord Alucard says, explain disparity between critic and audience scores.
Well, first of all, normally there's not. I mean, that's the big like, I remember somebody wrote that and he says, why are the critic scores and audience scores always so different? I said, really? Okay, let's just do this right now.
Yeah.
And I just brought up the list and say, look, this movie, audience scores are 15% off. This movie, the audience scores and critic scores are 5% off. This movie, the audience scores and their scores are 18% off. Blah, blah, blah. It's very, very rare that you get one where it's like 50% difference, where one's like 80 and one's 30. It happens because it's movies and movies are subjective. But here's the main reason why. This is the main reason why the few times that it happens, and there are these people who spin this fake BS narratives like it's always so different. No, 90% of the time they're usually within about 20% of each other. But on the occasion when it is a lot bigger of that, there's many different reasons, but one of the primary reasons to me, Rob, is this. Let's say a movie like, and I'm making up a scenario here, okay? Just follow me here. Let's say Power Rangers 11, okay? Let's say Power Rangers 11 came out. People who are not interested in Power Rangers, and there's a lot of people who aren't interested in Power Rangers, they're just not going to go see it. Who's going to see Power Rangers 11, Rob?
The Power Rangers fans.
The Power Rangers fans are going to go see it. Are they more inclined to liking it? Yeah. the audience that is more inclined to like that is going to go see it. So they're going to go see it, and you'll get a higher percentage as a result that say they enjoyed the movie. But remember, it was not everybody in the movie-going audience going to see Power Rangers 11. But the film critics, they all go see it, right? It's not just the film critics who are interested in Power Rangers. They all go see it. And that includes people who aren't interested in Power Rangers, like me. And I actually like the last Power Rangers. I gave the last Power Rangers movie a thumbs up to my surprise, but I liked it. But so they all go to see it, but you're not going to get that bias. You're not going to get that, disposed to liking it as much as the audience who wants to go out and go see it. And so all the film critics go see it, and a good chunk of them aren't going to like it. So that really has more to do with it than anything else. There are other factors as well from time to time. Absolutely there are. But the times that you get more than a 50% disparity between the critic reviews and things, they happen, but it's not like it happens every week. And when it does, a lot of times, not all the times, you just look at what type of movie it is and ask what audience has gone to go see it, and is that an audience that's predisposed to liking that material versus critics who some of them may like it and some of them won't. So, but again, there's this huge myth out there that all movies, the critic reviews and the audience reviews are way off from each other. 90% of the time, they're within 20% of each other. But anyway, Rob, how would you answer that question?
Well, for me, it's sort of simple. Like you said, critics, when they're looking at Power Rangers 11 as an example, they immediately dismiss it. It's not like they're even judging the Power Rangers movies within the Power Rangers franchise. They're not even going in and giving it a fair shake.
I did.
Well, of course, because you're also a genre fan too. But I think Hobbs and Shaw, I don't know exactly what the critical consensus is as opposed to what the audience consensus was. But I think, once you're dealing with sequels, especially sequels in long-running franchises, they're immediately sort of poo-pooed unless you have critics that are open to looking at a franchise for its own sake. I mean, you can't just dismiss franchises. Franchises are part of Hollywood, and they have fans, and I think just like I love the Bond movies, there are good Bond movies and there are not so good Bond movies. And good critics will look at a movie, hopefully, objectively. But I think a lot of critics also sort of slam movies if there's a long-running franchise.
I disagree. I think I just don't think that's
there's
true
a prejudice.
So then explain why Endgame has a 94% critic. That's a long-running franchise.
Right, but
it's comic book movies, but the critics went and saw it and they all enjoyed it.
But I think that the MCU has a certain prestige value to it, whereas, say, a movie series like Fast and the Furious, maybe not so much.
Okay, wait a second. Challenge accepted. Let me open up Rotten Tomatoes just right now.
See, I put my foot in it this time.
Well, or you might be proved 100% right. I mean, so let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's open up Rotten Tomatoes right now. I'm going to look for Fast and Furious. So let's see. So let's go with the recent films.
Hobbs and Shaw.
Okay, let me bring up Hobbs and Shaw first. Now, I know not everybody liked Hobbs and Shaw because Hobbs and Shaw is a fun movie, but it's not a cinematic masterpiece.
No.
Let's see.
It's not even top tier Fast and Furious.
68%. Majority of the critics liked Hobbs and Shaw. Actually, that's higher than I thought it would be.
What about the audience?
Audience, 88%.
Well, that's a 20% disparity.
Yeah, it's within 20%. Let's look at Fast and Furious. Let's go Fast and the Furious. I don't know.
Fate of the Furious, the 8th one. Last one.
Fate of the Furious. Okay, let me look it up here. Fate of the Furious.
By the way, a great title that nobody gets. It does not get enough credit for that clever title.
Fate of the Furious. That movie was awful, by the way. I'm about to click on it, but that movie was not good.
I didn't like it.
I had fun with it, but it's an awful movie.
It's far down from the Citizen Kane greatness.
67%. The majority of the critics liked it. Audience score, 72%.
Ooh.
So they were within 5% of each other.
There you go.
Let's look up another.
Fast 5. That should be equal.
Fast 5. Let's see what happens here.
Because it was the Citizen Kane of the franchise.
2011, 77% critic rating, 83% audience rating, within 5%. Critics did not poo-poo on this running franchise.
No, but that's because it's awesome. But
wait a minute. So you're saying it's only good if you also think it's good?
No, but
I'm just saying. Fair.
I'm just saying. I mean, this is a different. I mean,
but you picked the franchise. I said let's look it up. You said
but Hobbs and Shaw was there for you. 20%.
Yeah, but it's within 20. I mean, and the majority of the critics liked it. It had 68%. I mean,
I was
that's
just
the thing.
offering. Look, I am with you. I don't think that the critical and audience consensus is usually different. I think that bad movies are bad movies, good movies are good movies, and everybody recognizes them. But I do think that critics do have a tendency to be critical or more critical of long-running franchises simply because they exist.
But we just brought one up.
That's true. That's one. But if we did
And then we
10,
talked about Marvel, and you gave the excuse for Marvel that's revealed.
But
Okay,
Marvel's
what's another
not
one?
a franchise where people poo-poo it, though.
What's another one?
Well, Lord of the Rings is there. No one poo-poos that. Star Wars, I don't think is poo-pooed.
No, so-
but Power Rangers would be.
But that's because Power Rangers isn't any good. And
Transformers would be.
Yeah, but even the audience knows Transformers movies were terrible.
Yeah, but I bet there's a disparity there.
But hey, okay, but what happened? Bumblebee came out, right?
Well, yeah, but now you're picking. Bumblebee's actually good, so I think.
Well,
that
wait a minute. But now you're putting a qualifier on it.
No, but I didn't.
You're saying Bumblebee was good, but you're saying since it's a part of a franchise because
I
it's a
said
franchise.
maybe. I didn't say that was true of all franchises.
Okay, but
I was
I'm
just saying.
just to bring it up here. Bumblebee, 92%.
And look at that. Look at the audience score.
That was actually lower than the critics.
That
but
doesn't
within,
make
but
any
again,
sense. You know
within
what?
20%.
That audience score is wrong.
No, yeah, it should be
wrong.
high. I think this was before. This audience score was just before Rotten Tomatoes
Changed
instituted
their
their thing that you have to be verified that you saw the film. So I think a lot of people hated Transformers. They
Yeah.
were just downvoting it before it came out.
Yeah.
But still, even then, still within 20%. I mean,
But
so
that's a pretty big disparity.
within 20. I don't think within
20% is pretty
20.
big.
I disagree. I think when in something as wildly subjective as films, I think if you get within 20%, you're in the ballpark. I think you're within the ballpark. Anyway, that's just my thoughts. All right, what's next? We spent way too much time on that. I'm sorry about that.
But it was interesting. M. Droscher going to see a new Danish film with Thor and Odin, based by the Danish comic book Valhalla, based on. So 2 Thors in the same year. I didn't even know there was that film, and I would totally go see that.
Here's the funny thing. A lot of people forget. You know what, Rob? You and I, if we wanted to, tomorrow, you and I could make a Thor movie.
That's right.
Because Thor is not copywritten. Thor is public domain. Now, what we can't do is do a Thor film and then use any elements about Thor that were introduced in the Marvel Thor movies.
Right.
Because anything about Thor that is introduced in the Marvel films, that's copyright to them. But just the standard mythology of Thor, Valhalla, Loki, Odin, we can make our own Thor movie and put it in theaters tomorrow. No
Yep.
copyright risk. It's funny. It's funny about the way that things like that work.
Yep.
All right, what's next?
Charles A. says, John, Supernatural tonight. Justice for Adam Winchester?
Look. I'll be honest with you, Rob. You know I love Supernatural. Do you know
No.
Supernatural has been on pretty much as long as I've been in the movie punditry business.
Yeah.
It's crazy. The season finale of last year was the first episode of Supernatural I ever hated. I've never hated an episode of Supernatural before until the season finale last year.
Wow.
And I hated that.
So it was like
So-
Star Trek Discovery?
For you, it was like you and Star Trek Discovery. Yes, I like Discovery, but it's made me this is the first time ever I'm going into a new season of Supernatural where I'm actually nervous for it.
Wow.
So, fingers crossed. Gonna ride with the boys one more season. It still breaks my heart that it's ending, though. So we'll have. Did you get caught up to the end of last season yet? Because I know you watched
No.
Supernatural. Okay.
I stopped watching Supernatural when they had the apocalypse, and then there's a new season.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, when was that season? Season
Six or something like that.
Yeah.
Dude, some of the seasons were better.
I know. I like the show, actually.
Yeah, it's great. I love hanging out with the boys. Anyway,
Yeah.
all right. What's next?
The CTB channel says, hey, Campea crew, I finally got around to see Joker and liked it a lot. But now I'm ready for a Freeze or Cobblepot or Ivy movie. Hell, make the whole RGU, the Rogues Gallery universe. I coined it. Laugh out loud.
Could that work?
A Rogues Gallery universe movie?
Well, I mean, like, can you do the Joker treatment with Cobblepot?
See,
Could you-
I was talking about this on my own show. I'm like, once you add elements, the great thing about the Joker is that he doesn't have freeze powers, and he isn't some.
He doesn't control plants.
No, he's just a guy, and the portrayal of him in the real world was really effective. But I don't know. Poison Ivy, how do you do that in the real world? You'd have to change her into something more realistic. Like maybe she just has a green thumb.
Yeah.
I think it would be a lot harder to do the rest of his rogues. How do you do Killer Croc, but as the Joker?
Yeah.
Can you?
Yeah. You can't. Because it worked for Joker, I don't think. And you and I talked about Freeze. Like, I think you and I both agree that Freeze is basically Shakespearean on the comic page and in animated form. It's like that high level stuff, but I don't think you can do it live action.
No, and if
have
you
it come
change,
across
like
the same
somebody
way.
suggested making him steal organs, by freezing them, but that's changing what Mr. Freeze is.
That's not Mr. Freeze anymore.
And you could do that, and somebody nicknames him, some cop calls him, he's Mr. Freeze, and that's what the newspapers are saying, but that's not really the character, whereas the Joker in the Joker movie, still recognizable as the Joker.
Yeah, good point. All right, what's next?
Charles A., Sun Kang, yes. Cole Hauser, Mark Boone Jr., and Cliff Curtis have appeared in Fast and the Furious. And what other franchise that had a movie in the 80s, the 90s, the zeros, and the 2010s?
Oh, I know this. It's, let's put it this way. I don't know about Mark Boone exactly, but here's why I know what this is. Because there's only so many franchises that have been in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s. And I know Cole Hauser was in one of these films, and I know Sung Kang was in one of these films. I couldn't point out when Mark Boone was, but I'm just going to go out on a limb here and guess it's the Die Hard franchise.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So, which one was Mark Boone in? I can't remember.
Was it Die Hard? Live Free or Die Hard?
I can't place it. That would be a guess, but I can't place it. But that's got to be it, because what other franchises have films in all those decades and has at least Sung Kang and Cole Hauser? So I'm going to go with that. All right, what's next?
Kaiju Diesel says, celebrating my 30th birthday with the show. Another person who's going to die by the Sandman's hands. My top 5 movies are Sideways, The Big Lebowski, Son of a Woman, Shawshank Redemption, and Get Shorty. That's a great list of movies, by the way.
You know what? Sideways, Rob, is a film that does not get mentioned enough.
I love Sideways.
With Paul Giamatti,
Thomas Hayden Church.
Thomas Hayden Church,
Virginia Madsen, Schwing, Sandra Oh,
who is now, of course, in what's the BBC America show?
Killing
she's
Eve.
in? Killing Eve, which is so bonkers good. That movie is awesome.
It is awesome.
And I don't drink, so I'm not a wine guy per se, but that movie will make you wish you were a wine connoisseur. It's just a brilliant, brilliant film, and I think that's the first time, Rob, we've seen somebody put that on their top.
It's also got one of my favorite things in any movie ever, was when Thomas Hayden Church is tasting wine, and then Paul Giamatti realizes he's chewing gum. And Paul Giamatti, the wine connoisseur, is like, "Are you chewing gum?" It's like, it makes me laugh every time.
All right, what's next?
Angry Irish Benjamin says, help me out, John. You say Joker transcends the comic book genre. How? And why do you think that's a good thing? What's wrong with the comic book genre?
Look, to me, there's nothing wrong with the comic book genre in and of itself. It's not like there's a problem, but until your movie can be more than just that. How does Joker transcend the comic book genre? Let's put it this way. If Joker was not a recognized comic book character, that movie is just a gritty Taxi Driver style of film. It goes beyond just the traditional tropes and standard expectations of what a comic book movie is. That's what I mean by going beyond that. Now, you can be great within that, right? Man of Steel lives very much within the confines of the comic book genre, and I love Man of Steel. Avengers lives very much within the confines of the comic book genre, and I love Avengers. But to really become best film of the year kind of thing, you got to be able to break beyond that. And you can't just be measured by standards within your own genre. Because let's be honest, we do have a lower standard of expectation for a lot of stuff in comic book movies than we do, say, when we're going to see the next Martin Scorsese film. And of course we do, to some degree. Joker is a movie, Logan is a movie, and I believe a strong argument can be made that The Dark Knight is a movie that breaks beyond those expectations and becomes really great filmmaking outside of the limited expectations of what we bring to comic book movies. We expect spectacle and excitement and fun in comic book movies, but we don't apply the very fact that some people are trying to make an argument that Robert Downey Jr. deserves an Academy Award nomination for Endgame. No, he doesn't. But we're judging it by the standards we have, by comic book movie standards.
Yeah.
But Joker, to me, is a film that transcends that. It goes well beyond that and focuses more on let's make a world-class motion picture that just so happens to be drawn upon and influenced by comic book material. And look, and I'm not saying you have to do one or the other. I mean, I don't like Joker as much as I like Man of Steel. But I'm saying Joker is one of those films that did transcend that. Like, you can have great stuff and still be within the comic book box, but if you really want to be able to stretch, if you want the genre itself to grow, it's got to be able to grow outside of that box at the same time. I don't know, Rob, how would you explain it?
Well, I would say that there are, within Joker, the movie, there are no comic book tropes. Like, if you didn't know, if you were walking into that movie and you didn't know anything about comic books at all, you didn't know that Joker was connected to Batman, you didn't know anything about that, the movie works 100%. You know, you can't even say that, well, if you know about the connections with Thomas Wayne, the movie's made better. I'm like, no, because the Thomas Wayne version that's in Joker really has nothing to do. He's certainly not the character that we've seen portrayed either on film or in the comics. I think Joker works completely separate from its comic book origins as a movie. And I don't think there's ever been a comic book movie that completely does that when it comes to the superhero genre. Things like Ghost World and Road to Perdition are different. But a superhero film, and I think Joker has no trope. There's no comic book tropes in it. The reason he's a clown is because that's literally his job. And it all comes from that. So that's what I would say is the difference.
All right. What do we got next?
Trond Michelson says, everybody's raving about de-aging. Why aren't anyone talking about how they made Will Smith look like he's 50 in Gemini Man?
That's great. I like that. And seriously, the effects in that movie are mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing.
Dan Ketchum. I wonder if he's related to the author Jack Ketchum. Flash. He's a miracle. Awesome. Yes, it is awesome. That Queen score is awesome. Flash Gordon is awesome. I love Flash Gordon. Do you love Flash Gordon, John?
I do not. I don't hate Flash Gordon. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a Flash Gordon hater, but I don't count myself amongst the big Flash Gordon fans.
By the way, Ornella Muti as Princess Aura in that movie is perhaps one of the most amazingly beautiful creatures and sexy women I've ever seen on screen.
Well, there you go.
Just saying. Willow Yang is here. Willow Yang says, have you seen the music video for Purple Lamborghini? We probably got more of Leto's Joker in that than in the entire Suicide Squad film. That is true. There is more footage that we just didn't see, and you're like, where was that movie?
Yeah, I did not see the video. I saw clips from it, but I never actually saw the full video. So.
And the trailers. The trailers for Suicide Squad have more Joker. Yeah,
they made you feel like there was going to be more Joker, and really that movie could have used a lot more Joker and Harley together, I thought. All right, what's next?
Sunila Shetty is here. A comic book movie is a comic book movie when it has comic book characters. Comic book in general don't have a specific genre, at least from my experience. E.g., Sandman is dark fantasy. Long Halloween, murder mystery. Swamp Thing is body horror. Okay, I just want to say, yeah, these are different genres, sure, but these characters are still characters, and they're not so removed from their comic book milieu, whereas Joker was set firmly in a real-world situation. There was none of those things.
Right. I think you put it very well. I agree. Like, look, some people have tried to argue with me that, comic book genre isn't really a genre. It's not really, it's like, well, no, it did evolve into a genre. Because we were talking about, there, like Rob, you so accurately put, like there are certain tropes and things that we come to expect of comic book movies that they truly all have become a genre unto themselves. There are certain beats that you can expect from 95% of comic book movies that become recognizable. That kind of makes up what is that genre. It really did evolve into its own genre. But like a lot of good movies, like romantic comedies, or like dramedies, or thriller horror, or comedy horror, or whatever. You can cross genre stuff up. And, and Marvel's done a good job of that, especially in recent years with, whether you're talking about Winter Soldier, Ant-Man is a heist film, you can do that, but they are still, you will still find the DNA of comic book film in a lot of those things, like you were saying, Rob.
Right, absolutely. Whereas Joker, I mean, there's also an element of fantasy. There is some element of unrealism that's in comic books inherently. With Joker, there isn't. Now, I don't mean unreal like the visions he's having. I'm talking about a heightened element of something that isn't part of our real world.
Right.
Where Joker's firmly in the real world.
All right, what's next?
Magic K is here. After Martin Scorsese's theme park comment, Jennifer Aniston said Marvel is dominating the movies. She just wanted to go back to the Meg Ryan era movie. Well, you know what? Let me just say, I love Meg Ryan, and I love When Harry Met Sally. And I love, Sleepless in Seattle and
You've
those
Got
things.
Mail. I think is a tragically underrated film of theirs.
Who doesn't
You've Got Mail.
love Meg Ryan? But that doesn't mean Marvel movies. Come out 3 times a year, and there's how many hundreds of movies? I mean, we saw "Won't You Be My Maybe." That could have had Meg Ryan's star in it.
Hey, if that movie had come out in the mid-'90s, it would have had Meg Ryan
And we're seeing there's still some really good romantic comedies being made. I just don't think Jennifer Aniston's up on them.
I haven't seen the interview, so I can't comment on the context of what she said, unfortunately. All right, what's next?
I can't think of a good... Oh, wait. Zamagad Ruler says, the DCEU should experiment with a Brave and the Bold movie. Why not?
I don't know. I wasn't really big on that. But then again, I'm not really big on any of that stuff. Like from Marvel or DC, so I really wasn't big on it either. All right, what's next?
I can't think of a good username. Says, why does Hollywood hate Marvel? At least every couple of months, somebody in the industry criticizes it. They're jealous.
Okay, can I just bring up something here? Can't think of a good username. This is something that we as film fans do that really drives me crazy. All right, and we do it, and I'm sure I've been guilty of it too. So I'm including me in all this. All right. Couple of people say something. Why does Hollywood hate that? I'm sorry. Last time I checked, is Anthony Hopkins Hollywood? Oh yeah, he's in Marvel movies. Is Robert Downey Jr. Hollywood? Oh yeah, he's in these movies. Is Ben Kingsley Hollywood? Yeah. Oh, he's in Marvel movies. Hollywood loves Marvel. It drives me a little bit crazy when we cherry pick out, Jodie Foster said something bad, Martin Scorsese said something we didn't like, James Cameron said something we didn't like. Hollywood hate. No, that's a small segment. It also drives me crazy when, this drives me crazy. When there are these politically agenda-driven people right now trying to make it look like, Hollywood wants you to hate Joker. The left-wing media wants you to hate Joker. Last time I checked, the majority of Hollywood and the Hollywood system love Joker. By the way, Joker was made by Hollywood lefties, by the way. And I don't care about any of that shit, but it just drives me crazy when I see it. Like last time I checked, the critics want you to hate Joker. Really? Because I looked and a significant majority of critics are praising Joker. But people create these false narratives because they hear a couple of people say something, go, that entire group hates this. No. Stop lying. Stop faking things to promote your own particular agenda here. Hollywood does not hate Marvel. Hollywood loves Marvel. But that doesn't mean that everybody in Hollywood does. But it's just thing, and again, I'm including myself in this too. I've caught myself doing that same generalization. But let's be clear. The vast majority of Hollywood loves Marvel. But there are going to be some people in the business that don't. That's true of anything. Not everybody loves Bond. Not everybody loves DC. Not everybody loves Star Wars. Not everybody loves Friends. Not everybody loves Breaking Bad. Not everybody loves it. It's just that. We got to stop using this language about Hollywood hates this. Why? Because you heard, 6 or 7 people interviewed say something once? That means Hollywood hates it? I don't get it. I don't know. Am I over exaggerating that? Because I see it all the time, Rob.
No, I see it all the time too. And what's interesting, I think what people have to understand is it's not that anybody hates Marvel movies or any of these big franchise movies, but what's happened is a lot of the movies that we've grown up with and loved, movies like When Harry Met Sally, those don't show up in the multiplexes anymore because the movie business has changed. It's a much higher stakes business now. We're talking global. The marketing costs for movies are astronomical. So the movies that are getting made are different than the movies that were being made 30 years ago. It's an evolutionary process. That's just life. And people lament the fact that, gosh, I wish I could see more When Harry Met Sally's. But you know who doesn't want to? The studios that are making $1 billion off these big franchise movies, and that's why they're making them. And so when somebody says, well, I wish I could see When Harry Met Sally, that's what physical media is for. I have my Blu-ray of When Harry Met Sally. I can watch it whenever I want.
But the thing is, all these movies, look, for instance, Jexi is coming out.
Right.
But every week, 3 to 4 movies come out. Every week. They're there. The movies are there. We got to support them. And like it's within this environment, like Rob's pointing out, that A24 is thriving, like Blumhouse is thriving. Like you can make successful. You just got to understand that not every movie is going to be $1 billion movie. So don't spend $120 million for every freaking movie that you make. Make reasonably budgeted movies. Make reasonable amounts of money at the box office. Profit.
And John, Blumhouse made Whiplash.
Yes, they did.
Whiplash is an incredible film. J.K. Simmons got an Oscar for that movie, and even Jason B. over there will say, I'd never make that movie again because it didn't make any money. And that's one of my favorite movies of the last 5 years.
All right, what's next?
Ryan Lohner says, absolutely beautiful tribute to Luke Perry on the Riverdale premiere. I didn't see it, but Luke Perry can do no wrong.
Yeah, it was bittersweet seeing him in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It was bittersweet seeing that. I mean, I watched Riverdale season 1. I actually thought it was pretty fun. I watched 3 episodes of Riverdale season 2, and I ditched that show. That show has become such unwatchable crap. So I didn't see it, and I probably won't see it. But I heard they did a really nice thing to there. So that's good to hear. All right, what's next?
Jordan Skinner says, hey, John, it's my birthday today, and what a perfect way to celebrate by watching the show. Bring on the filthy.
Well, Jordan, thank you so much, dude. Happy birthday to you. And again, may you have a triumph of a day and a triumph of a year in front of you. And I'm glad you decided to spend part of your day with us. So from us, all of us here and all the Film Fan community here, to you, Jordan, happy birthday, brother. I hope you have a great one. All right, what's next?
Gatlin Winter says, what does Terminator Dark Fate have to do to be better than Terminator 2 Judgment Day? Also, over under 20%, Dark Fate is better than T2. Wow, John, you know what? I got to say, I don't know if it could possibly ever be better than T2 Judgment Day, because remember, we've had a bunch more Terminators. There's been the Sarah Connor Chronicles TV series, there's been Terminator 3, there's been Terminator Salvation, there's been Terminator Genesis, and it's just not as new and fresh anymore. I think the only way to make Terminator better is to go back in time and put out Dark Fate before 1984 when the original Terminator came out. Then no one would have seen Terminator before, and Dark Fate would be awesome.
Here's the thing that drives me a little bit crazy, though. This is something we as film fans do, too. Oh, you're going to go see a new crime movie? Was it better than Godfather?
Right.
Like, what? Terminator 2 is one of the most celebrated sci-fi action films, too, of all time. And when you're saying, what does Terminator Dark Fate have to do to be better than Terminator 2 Judgment Day? Be better.
Right.
Like, some people look for the crystal egg. Put this in it, and that magically makes it better. Oh, you know what would have made that comic book movie better? Put Galactus in it. No, that would not have automatically made the movie better. Ooh, you know what's one of the greatest comic book villains ever? Dr. Doom. Put him in it, it'll be better. Well, they've actually done that, and that hasn't made movies any better. Like, there's no one thing you do to make a movie better than another movie. You just have it has to be a holistic overall. The whole film is constructed and executed in a way that's better. But why does it need to be better than Terminator 2? Hell, if it's half as good as Terminator 2 Judgment Day, I'll be thrilled. I think the chances are very low that it'll be better, but it doesn't have to be as good as Terminator 2 Judgment Day to have value. I think it could be 60% as good and be a really enjoyable time at the movie.
Me too.
So
I think it looks fun.
I think it looks fun too. We'll have to wait and see. All right, what's next?
Mark Battalato says, John, season 5 of Schitt's Creek just dropped on Netflix, and you must watch this show. Hilarious and heartwarming with the best Canadian kids. Everyone I know loves it, and season 6 will be on Pop in January.
Have you ever watched it?
No.
I hear nothing but amazing things about the show. Of course, Eugene Levy is
SCTV.
Yeah, but the female lead, Kevin's mom in Home Alone.
Yeah.
Why am I freezing?
Beetlejuice. Why am I drawing a blank on her name?
Anyway, I've heard it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I've never watched it. I've heard it's fantastic. But then again, I never heard of Letterkenny either.
Dude.
And then people got me turned on to Letterkenny, and now I just get hooked on these rabbit holes on YouTube of watching clips of Letterkenny because, oh my God, that thing is so funny.
So funny.
All right, what's next?
Josh, is that Marion?
Yeah.
Josh Marion says, hi, John. I'm really enjoying this year's Transformers Siege line of figures. Please tell Ann and the Hasbro family thank you for all their efforts. Looking forward to the Netflix series next year. That's what I loved. I love when people love toys.
Toys are great. And you know what? It's funny because Ann, prior to working at Hasbro, Ann was in a very, she was working in program management, project management, and coordination and directing and all this kind of stuff. But when I first started dating Ann, she was the political field rep for a congresswoman in Orange County. And she was boots on, and I was watching, I love political stuff. So every time I watch West Wing or something, I just think that was Ann's life. But that she was doing that. Then she transitioned from working for the congresswoman into working for a big medical insurance company called LA Care. And she was a big program director for them and doing all this kind of stuff. Then the job opportunity for Hasbro came up. And I remember, we sat down and talked about it and thought, the idea of going to work to help make toys sounds really good right now. Because she had worked for a lot of years in some very, very heavy... Now, don't get me wrong. Her job is stressful and high stakes and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, she gets to get up, go to work, and help make toys and deliver toys to people. And that's great. And I know she gets a big kick out. She goes, John, you would love our offices. I'm not allowed in their offices. You got to have go through 5 levels of security to even get into the office. So I can't even go see her desk.
Did they pass? Are they going to make Unicron? Did HasLabs get their 8,000 orders?
Did they not make?
I don't know. When I saw you guys, there was a day left or something.
I think that thing got pushed ahead. I think it worked.
I hope so, because man, I don't collect Transformers, but man, it was cool.
All right, we got kind of just for a couple more here with Rob still here. So what's next?
That would be Chris Miner says Zombieland and Zombieland 2 is going to have a double feature at my AMC.
Oh, nice.
Who gets the box office money from that first ticket? The first or the second? How does that work?
The movie studio gets the box office money. It's the same way as with everything. A portion of it will stay with the theater because it's their facilities, and the rest of it goes to the studio that owns it. So it'll work just like anything else, really, unless you know anything different, Rob.
I don't.
All right.
I can't wait to see Zombieland 2, though.
You know what? I didn't even like the first Zombieland all that much.
What?
Yeah, I thought it was okay, but I think this one looks really good.
It does look really good.
I'm very excited to see this movie. All right, what's next?
Man Mountain Gherkin 23 says 2019 so far. 1. Rocket Man. 2. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. 3. Joker. 4. Endgame. 5. Fighting with My Family. 6. Lion King. 7. Toy Story 4. 8. Yesterday. 9. Blinded by the Light. And 10. Ad Astra.
Obviously, my 1 and 2 probably right now are Booksmart and The Favorite. But I'll tell you what, I love that you've got Fighting with My Family on that.
Yeah, it's so good.
That movie, it's a special little movie. And here's the thing, I thought it looked like it would be crap. And I'm sure a lot of people didn't go see it because it looked like it was going to be stupid little silly nonsense. It's got heart and charm, and it's a feel-good movie, and I really enjoyed Fighting with My Family. Yes, it's about a WWE wrestler, but it's not a wrestling movie per se. It's a movie about a girl with a dream and her family, and it's really special. And it's really fun. I saw a screening of it with Paige, the girl who is the focus of the movie, with Paige and her brother, because they're the two main characters. So we had the real Paige and the real brother there talking about their relationship that was played on screen, and it just added to the movie for me. So you know what, Man Mountain, love that you put that on your list, dude. Love that you put it on your list. All right, last one here with Rob.
Man Mountain Gherkin 23 is back. Top 10. 1. Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Nice.
2. Star Wars, the OG Trio. 3. Lord of the Rings Trio. 4. Three Musketeers, 1993.
I love that movie.
5. Willow. 6. Master and Commander, the best Star Trek movie ever made since Star Trek 2. 7. The Departed. 8. Les Miserables. 9. The Last King of Scotland. And 10. Philadelphia. That is a very diverse list.
That's a very, very good list. You know what? I have never seen anybody put that Three Musketeers. I think the 93 one is the Kiefer Sutherland. Not Charlie Sheen. Yeah, Charlie Sheen.
Is it?
Christopher Platt. Chris O'Donnell. I love.
It's Young Guns with Swords.
Dude, I love that movie. That's the movie I fell in love with Christopher Platt. And that and everything. He's on a new show. Oliver Platt. Sorry, not Christopher Platt. Oliver Platt. Thank you. Come D'Artagnan, we're going to save the king. I mean, that movie's great. And I'll tell you what, one of the great little movie secrets. Watch that movie, then do a double feature. Watch that movie, and then watch the Leonardo DiCaprio Man in the Iron Mask. They are not shared cinematic universe. They are not meant to be a sequel to each other. But I will tell you what, if you watch those two films back to back, because Man with the Iron Mask Leonardo DiCaprio, John Malkovich, Gerard Depardieu, Jeremy Irons, the guy from Usual Suspects, the lead guy from Usual Suspects. Who's the main lead guy from the Usual Suspects?
Gabriel Byrne.
Gabriel Byrne, thank you. Gabriel Byrne is in Man with the Iron Mask. You can that thing, and I swear it feels like one is a direct sequel to the other just 25 years later.
Yeah.
It plays really, really well. If you got a bunch of friends you're trying to decide what to do for movie night one night, double feature, Three Musketeers followed by Man in the Iron Mask. I think you'll enjoy it. Anyway, hey, listen, that's all the time that Rob's got here. He's got other things he's got to run off and do. Rob, it's always an honor and pleasure to have you here. We're going to have you back here again tomorrow, yes?
Yes.
And we'll catch up on some more stuff then. Rob, in the meantime, where can people find you and your magnificent fun and wonder stuff online?
You can find me on Twitter at BurnettRM, find me on Instagram at RMBurnett, or find me on my own YouTube channel, The Burnett Work, and its adjacent website, theburnetwork.net.
All right, dude, we will look forward to having you back tomorrow. And guys, we still got a little bit of time here, so let's keep on rolling with the questions that you guys have sent in. And we'll keep going here now with Don't Know What to Put writes, yay, Star Wars Talk Tuesday with John and Kristian. I never said Kristian Harloff was doing Star Wars Talk Tuesday with me. Let's be very, very clear about that. And I need to make that very clear. I am going to be making announcements. I understand the speculation. I do. But let's just be clear about that. All right, Santez Henderson writes, hey, everyone, remember, you are all wonderfully awesome people, no matter what. Keep believing in yourselves and strive for what you want in life. Oh, thank you so much. That's not just a good message for me, Santez. That's a good message for everybody watching the show today. So thank you, sir, for sending that in. A little bit of positivity for everybody today. Godzilla's Girl writes, please wish my Godzilla Kyle a happy 30th birthday. We are big fans and listen every day. Did we not already cover this? It doesn't matter. Kyle, happy birthday again. She wanted to make sure so much you got your happy birthday wish. She even sent it in twice. That's how much she cares about you. You're a lucky man. All right. Darth Scorn sends in a super chat just to be supportive. Thank you so much, Darth Scorn. Don't Know What to Put writes, John, you're shorthanded. Get my boy Greg. If you're talking about Greg Alba, well, you know me. I like Greg very, very much. We kind of joke that he's like from the future. He's kind of like Terminator. He's come back from the future. He's actually mine and Anne's son from the future because he is half Italian, half Filipino, which is Italian. My wife is Filipino. So we always joke that he's from the future sent back to warn us about something. I don't know what. But remember, Greg's a very, very busy dude. Like, he's doing Real Rejects. They got a lot of stuff on the go. I can only get him in here so much. It's a little tough. All right, Colby Harris writes, could the Dark Ray thing be a misdirect? We talked about that. It's possible, but I don't think so. That's way too much of a misdirect. Now, listen, there's still 100 different things that the Dark Ray stuff could mean. It could be a dark vision. It could be a reality. It could be a clone. It could be something. I mean, there's a million different things it could be. But straight up misdirect, like that's not even in the movie. Oh, people would revolt. Yeah, so I don't think that definition of a misdirect would be at play here. Juri Mannion writes, just saw George Clooney speak live at Nordic Business Forum. The whole event was really great. George said he was on his way to Iceland to direct a movie. Yeah, he's always busy. Seriously, George Clooney is an incredibly intelligent, articulate, well-spoken dude. He's a thoughtful, smart dude. I've heard him give several speeches on different things. It's a really cool guy to listen to. All right, Warren Wright writes, Joker as a Broadway play? Don't laugh. I'm serious. It worked with Sweeney Todd, and that was violent. I would pay to see it. I don't see... And listen, violent things happen in Joker, but it's not like an action movie with tons and tons of violence, right? It would work. Honestly, I really don't see any reason why. Hell, if you can make a Spider-Man stage Broadway play, I think a Joker Broadway play would work perfectly fine. I don't see any. I not only am I not laughing at you, Warren, I don't see anything that would really prevent it from happening. It seems like a very doable thing, I think. I think you're right. All right, Chris Warden writes, I finally found a cure for my mom's insomnia. I took her to see Ad Astra, and it did the trick. But being serious, I thought Pitt was quite good. And Pitt was quite good. Yep, he was quite good. But amazingly dull film. And look, there are a lot of people that like it, and if you liked it, that's awesome. I wish I liked it. You know I was excited about it, but yeah, man, Chris, I found that film dull. Anyway, Newman Studios writes, what movies have you walked out of fallen asleep to? Well, I've talked about that a lot. I've never fallen asleep in a movie, but I've walked out of a few, very few. I worked out of what's it called? Movie 52 or Movie 53, whatever that one was with the huge ensemble cast. I walked out of that. I walked out of Dark Water with Jennifer Connelly. I just couldn't take it. I walked out of Lady Bird. I gave it a good hour, like 45 minutes to an hour, and I was like, I just can't take it anymore. Everybody else loved it. It got nominated for Best Picture. I had to walk out of it. I walked out of The Ringer with Johnny Knoxville. And here's the thing about The Ringer with Johnny Knoxville. I understand what they were trying to do and what their intent was. So I'm not mad at anybody who made The Ringer, because I know what their intent was not to make fun of handicapped people or people with disabilities. That wasn't their point. Their intent was to actually empower and raise awareness and bring attention to things like Special Olympics and all that kind of stuff. And their intentions were great. I just felt like they did such a bad job executing it. It just felt like, to me, the movie was just making fun of people with disabilities. And I know that wasn't their intent. Their intent was actually quite the opposite. So I applaud them for that. But I was so uncomfortable watching it, because to me, it just came across that they were making fun of people with disabilities. And I was so uncomfortable with it that I had to walk out. Again, I know that wasn't their intent, but they blew it. They tried, but they blew it. So I don't know if there's many more beyond that. That's about the extent of it. Let's see. Newman also writes, I fell asleep in Men in Black International, disappointing. Yeah, I didn't think Men in Black International was a dumpster fire of a movie, but it was a letdown. It was absolutely a letdown. I got to agree. Orange Hand writes, favorite Mark Strong performance. Whew. I mean, a lot of people, let me bring it up here, because a lot of people will go rock and rolla. Just a lot of people like consider him like definitive Mark Strong as rock and rolla. I think, let me just pull it up here. I think, man, I gotta go Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. And he wasn't even like the main dude in Tinker Tailor, but you look at the cast from that movie, it was an overwhelmingly incredible cast, okay? I mean, he was one of the big main guys, but you got Toby Jones, you had Gary Oldman in it, you had him. It was a fabulous, fabulous, fabulous movie. And did he get an Academy Award nomination for that? I don't think he did. Hold on a second. I thought maybe he did, but no, it was Oldman. Oldman got the Academy Award nomination for leading role in that. He did not win, though. It was also nominated for Best Screenplay, and it was nominated for Best Score. But I think Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy is my favorite performance of it. I loved him in that. Anyway, Nosferatu writes, hey, John, I am reading a book on anti-gravity. It's impossible to put down. Bum. Tristan Riera writes, thanks for keeping my spirit up as I grade papers. Whew. Listen, writing papers is terrible. I have been with people like Anne actually taught some college courses, and grading papers was always like pulling teeth. So I mean, I've never had to grade papers myself, thankfully, but whoo, good luck to you, my friend. Samuel Phoenix writes, let's speculate. What company would/should Disney acquire? A game studio? Another studio? Dude, they're not buying anything anytime soon. They just spent half of their net value buying Fox. So Disney right now is not a purchaser. They've done all their acquiring. And not only are they a purchaser, but because Comcast and Universal were also bidding for Fox, Disney had to spend almost $20 billion more for Fox than what they originally agreed to pay for it. Because you remember, they made an offer to Fox. I think it was in the neighborhood of like 59 or somewhere around there, in the 50s, low 60s, billions of dollars. And then, they got a deal. But then Comcast came along and put in a bigger offer, causing Disney to come back with another offer that was nearly $20 billion higher than their original thing. So not only did they spend billions and billions and billions of dollars, they had to spend almost $20 billion more than they were even anticipating spending, spent nearly half of their net worth as a company. They're not buying a lot anytime soon, my friend. They're not buying a lot anytime soon. All right, where are we at here? Let's see. Radul Oruna writes, Pitt's favorite film in his filmography is Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford. There's good reason for that. It's a Western masterpiece and my favorite film of all time, most underrated film of all time. That's hard to... Listen, everybody's going to have a different film for underrated. The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford is not underrated. Everybody who has seen that movie knows of its complete brilliance. It's not popular. Maybe it's under-recognized, but I don't think that movie's underrated. And it is brilliant. It is brilliant. By the way, we talked about this on the show a few weeks ago. In case you haven't seen it, look up online, The Assassination of Jesse James, Yogi Bear. Look that up. It's a recreation of one of the final scenes of the Assassination of Jesse James, but done with Yogi and Boo Boo. And if you've seen and appreciate the Assassination of Jesse... If you haven't seen the Assassination of Jesse James, you won't get this video at all. But if you have, you will love this video. Do yourself a favor, dude. Go look that up. I think you're going to enjoy it a lot. All right, Samuel Phoenix writes, ever thought about doing a behind-the-scenes tour of your studio and how you make the show? I'd love to see the process. By the way, love your show and the game. Well, thank you so much, Samuel. I kind of have now and again kind of giving you a little bit of an idea about what goes on here, about the gear I use and stuff like that. But yeah, one of these days, probably soon, I'll just do a little, like maybe a 15-minute walkthrough of what goes into producing a day show. Like I already put out like a schedule of my day. If you guys will remember that a few months ago, I put out, here's what my day looks like. Starting at 5 a.m., this happens, and at 8, this happens, and at 9, this happens, and at 11, this happens, and at lunch, this happens, and at 1 p.m., this happens, and at 3 p.m., this happens, then at 5 p.m., this happens, and at 7 p.m., this happens, and then it all starts again at 5 a.m. the next day. So I already kind of did that, but I'll walk everybody through my gear here at some point. I will. I'll get around to that, Samuel. Don't worry about it. All right. Randy M30 writes, hey, John, huge fan. Thank you so much, Randy. I just recently caught an old movie late last night called Last American Virgin. Oh, my God, what a depressing ending. Ever seen it? If it's the one I'm thinking about, and it might not be. Hold on a second. Where's it? Last American Virgin. Oh, this is not the one I was thinking about. I never did see it. It's a good thing I double check because this is not the movie I was thinking about. I'm familiar with the film, but nope, I never did watch it. So unfortunately, can't comment on it. That was 1982. I was like 9 years old when that movie came out. So no, I did not see it. Joe Byram writes, even a man who is pure in heart and says his prayers by night may become the wolf when the wolfbane blooms and the autumn moon is bright. It sounds like it'd be something from that Anthony Hopkins werewolf movie, but I don't honestly. A lot of times you guys will send in quotes and be like, "Ooh, that doesn't even really sound familiar to me." So if you guys in the live chat board know what that one's from, jump it down in there and let them know because I don't recognize it myself. All right, William Fournier writes, my top 10: The Departed. Love The Departed. It's a remake, by the way. The Departed, Heat, Goodfellas, Social Network, Training Day. Oh, I love Training Day. Gone Girl. Love Gone Girl. Casino, Man on Fire. Casino Man? Encino Man? Casino, Man on Fire. Wolf. You got some Denzel in there. Wolf of Wall Street. Prisoners. Good. Oh, that's a great list. I love every film on your list. The Departed, many of you guys know. The Departed, of course, is a remake of a Asian cop film, which is my all-time favorite cop film, called Infernal Affairs. And so Martin Scorsese loved it. He decided he wanted to do a remake of it, a North American version, and it's brilliant. Won Best Picture at the Academy Awards. It won Martin Scorsese his first and only Best Director award at the Academy Awards. Heat, of course, is great. Goodfellas is great. Social Network is great. Training Day, Gone Girl, Casino, Man on Fire, Wolf. Great list. Denis Villeneuve, of course, with Prisoners. He's got his new one coming out June next year. Looking forward to that. Great list. All right. Let's see. Royce Freeman writes, do you prefer Highlander theatrical or director's cut? Theatrical. I'm actually a better fan of the theatrical one. And it is, Highlander is in my top 10 all-time favorite films. It's funny because, you know, a lot of my top 10 favorite films will not be in everybody's list, but they'll all look at all the films and go, oh, yeah. Like, I read a lot of people's top 10 lists, and most of their films aren't in my top 10, but I go, oh, yeah, that's a great film, and that's a great film, and that's a great film. but every once in a while, like we've all got like one film on our list that people look at and go, really? That? Highlander is that one for me. Highlander is that one movie on my list that if everybody looked at my list, I was like, oh yeah, you got Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Shawshank Redemption, River Kwai, Lawrence of Arabia, Ben-Hur. Highlander? Yeah, Highlander's on my list. Sir Ivan Bennett writes, good day, movie mavens. Tell that Chris Carr she keeps getting cuter. Love those specs. Rob and John, you guys are okay. Well, I will pass that along, Sir Ivan. And thank you for, boosting me up today, making me know that I'm okay. I appreciate that. All right, where we go? Nick writes, watched a Serbian film the other night. It wasn't mentioned on your show recently. I have OCD. I have to watch movies in full. Legit threw up by the end. Shaking violently. Had to see my psychiatrist. I don't know what film we're talking about. Is it actually called a Serbian film? There's actually a movie called A Serbian Film. I had no idea. I just thought you mentioned, I watched a Serbian film. Like there's a movie made in Canada and you would say, I watched a Canadian film. But it's actually called A Serbian Film. I've never heard of this. Let me read the synopsis here. So the synopsis on it reads as an aging porn star agrees to participate in an art film in order to make a clean break from the business, only to discover that he has been drafted into making a pedophilia and necrophilia themed snuff. Oh my God. Yeah, no. Yeah, no. Just no. Oh my God, Nick. No wonder you... Oh, that sounds horrible. Thank you for the warning. Matsiv Jada writes, what black magic do they use to get tracking numbers? Look, the easiest thing to do is just go to a Google thing and search that. They have a thing. It's a mixture of surveys, and they have data that they track and all that kind of stuff that they come up with that. So the best thing to do is go over to Google and just find an article on that. They'll give you a much better explanation than I could. Last couple of questions here, guys, and we're going to wrap up today's show. Nick writes, honestly, how the hell is that film not banned? I mean, hey, look, art is art. No film is banned. Shouldn't be banned. You can rate it R, whatever, but again, I've never even seen it, and I have no intention of seeing it. Thank you for warning me about it, but ugh. All right, final question. Do you prefer True Lies or Infernal Affairs? Well, I mean, these are completely different movies. One is a comedy action, spy movie. One is a grittier, like, cop drama sort of thing. So it's just like asking, what do you prefer, Godfather or Wizard of Oz? I mean, they're just radically different films. So I'm going to take a pass on that. All right, one more did get slipped in there. This one comes to us from K Major. And I agree. Man in the Iron Mask is underrated. Now, look, I don't think Man in the Iron Mask is a great film. Let's be clear. It's got a great cast. And I think it is a little underrated. I'm just saying that movie becomes better. And it's weird to say this, I know. But The Man in the Iron Mask as a movie becomes better when you watch The Three Musketeers first. If you watch The Three Musketeers with Kiefer Sutherland first, and then watch Man in the Iron Mask, Man in the Iron Mask becomes a better film than it was before. I have no explanation for that. I don't know why that is. It just seems to be what happened. And just as a last little measure, Sonny Claire just fired in a super chat to be supportive. Thank you, Sonny. I appreciate the support. Thank you so much. All right, guys, that will do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here and being a part of it. I love that you guys are here and a part of the film fan community. Thank you for giving us a place for me, Robert, Chris, Aaron Cummings is off shooting her new show, and all of us. And, thanks for myself, fact checker Jonathan, Ray, the artist, and all of you guys. Thank you so much. And thank you to all you guys who sent in questions today, not just because you gave us great fun things to talk about, but also because you supported the channel along the way. Little reminder, this coming Wednesday, The Weekly Hero returns. Rob and I are going to be back. We are relaunching Weekly Hero. That's right. We took a long time off just because things have been so crazy. We've had to get schedules realigned, but we're up and running again. And keep your guys' eyes open for that. All right, guys. That will do it for me for today for this installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here. Don't forget, we'll be back again tomorrow. My name is John Campea, and until next time, bye-bye.